today's video, I'm going to go over my 2021 financial strategy on how I'm going to pay off my student loan debt. In the last video I did where I talked about my 2021 financial goals, I of course mentioned that my focus right now is solely on my student loans, since that's going to be the only debt that I have that's a non-mortgage debt beginning next month in February. So I want to give you all the plan, the layout, the mathematics on how I plan to attack my student loan debt. This video is going to be broken down into essentially three parts. The first part is going to be a breakdown of the math of just what I can apply monthly to my student loans. The second part is going to be a prospectus depending on if the student loan forbearance is extended throughout 2021. And the third part is going to be a look if the student loan forbearance is extended for 6 months until June or July. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Where we last left off, when I was paying off the bills and the car and everything else, we had about $2,750 that we could apply towards debt payments at the end of the month. Well, subsequently, of course, we took care of the car, knocked that out, so that added additional $385 to that payment, which brought the total amount that could be applied towards debt to $3,135. Additionally, the final debt that I have to pay off before, the only thing I have left is the student loan, is for some furniture from Haverty's. Yeah, interesting thing that makes you think. When I get furniture that I want in my area, I have to get it from the cheapest place in the world. When the wifey get her furniture, she gets to go to highfalutin Haverty's. But that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother discussion that I save for a later date. So once we pay off that furniture payment at the end of the month, that'll free up an additional $112, bringing the total amount that we'll have to put towards debt to $3,247 starting in February. But as always, I came up with a few creative ways to essentially make a few additional dollars to help me pay off debt faster. So we're going to go through those right now. First thing that I did, and I talked about it in another video, I'll put the link somewhere around here on this video, but refinance my rental property. When I purchased my rental property in 2007, the interest rate was a little over 5%, which was a decent interest rate at the time. However, now we know interest rates have bottomed out, so I did refinance that rental property mortgage, receiving an interest rate of about 3%. Essentially what that does is it allows me to keep an additional $440 of my rental income every month. So I'm going to apply that $440 to this debt payment because I want to try to expedite it and take care of it as soon as possible. The other thing that I did deals with the IRS, and if you all checked out my video, I'll put the link above. While I'm shook of the IRS and I don't want the men in black to come light me up, but in that video I talked about making sure you're taking the proper deductions and the proper tax withholdings. I was so shook that I was scared. I always claimed single zero. Even if I had 65 kids, I would still put single zero because I didn't want them boys in black knocking at my door. But today, I feel like I'm a responsible adult now. At the end of last year, I actually made the proper withholding. That essentially freed up about $800 a month of additional income that we received. Now, typically we would get this income anyway, but we would get it at the end of the calendar year when it was tax refund time. But rather than have them take taxes out now and keep my money and give the government an interest-free loan, when we factor in the additional proceeds that I'm getting from the refinance, when we factor in the additional household money that's going to come in every month, as opposed to in the form of a tax refund at the end of the year, we're looking at $4,487 to be applied towards debt. But we do have to take a few things out because some of the other things that I talked about in my goals were I wanted to also bolster up my emergency fund. If you subscribe to the channel, you've been checking out the journey. You know, I pretty much depleted a lot of my emergency fund to knock out my car because I was really pressed. I wanted to make sure I can start and attack the student loans in 2021. And I also had a goal of wanting to put a little bit more money into my children's college fund. So I'm going to put an additional $300 towards the kids' college, a couple hundred for my son, $100 for my daughter, and then I'm going to also apply $500 towards kind of boosting up my emergency fund. So that puts us back at the original number of $3,687 that's going to be paid every month that could go towards student loan debt. So again, me, I like to compartmentalize. I have over $239,000 of household debt, 109 for my law degree, 130 and a little bit of change for the wifey's master's degree. But I'm all about compartmentalizing things. It's a little bit easier for me to palate. If I add all those numbers together, the sound of it can be a little intimidating. So we're compartmentalizing, we're focusing on the $109,000 student loan. Here's where things get a little tricky, okay? If the student loan forbearance goes throughout the entire calendar year of 2021, remember, these numbers will be accurate starting in February. If the extension goes through 2021, that'll put us in a great position where I can focus the entire amount that I could put towards debt on one student loan. No interest will be accruing, and the total payment over this year will be $40,557. That's about 41% of that loan that can be paid off this calendar year if the student loan forbearance lasts for 12 months. In the alternative, if it lasts for 6 months, which is one of the dates that are floating around, I'll put the link to the video where I talked a little bit about that. And as soon as I do find out a date, I keep my ear to the ground. I just pretty much got Google on the alert to alert me if anything come up. So if something comes up as to the date of how long the forbearance will last, I'll definitely do a video on it. But in the event if the forbearance is only a 6-month forbearance, so let's say starting in February, these numbers will be accurate because I only have the student loans left. We'll have essentially 6 months of no interest payment freeze. Then the remaining 5 months of the calendar year, interest will be accruing. If we go that route, that tends to make things a little bit more, not difficult, but annoying, I would say, because right now we're looking at $3,687 to pay towards one student loan, $109,000 student loan for my law degree. If in 6 months the student loan forbearance comes to an end, then for 5 months interest will be accruing, and I'll have to make payments on my wife's student loans, which is an amount of $1,300 a month. So if student loan forbearance is only 6 months, after that 6-month freeze period, I'll have to make payments on my wife's student loans in the amount of $1,300. That will give me an amount of $2,387 at that time to apply to my student loan. So when we look at the total numbers, if the forbearance goes the entire calendar year, I'm looking at paying off $40,557. If the forbearance goes for a 6-month period, where 6 of those months will be interest free and the freeze will be intact, the remaining 5 months of the year, interest will be accruing, I'll be looking at paying off about $34,000, just over $34,000, $34,000 and some change. So those are really kind of how my goals pan out. Now, I will tell you, I did create my budget to have, and this is kind of the reason why I create my budget this way, I like to have what I call a catch-up ability. And what I mean by catch-up ability is my budget is based on 2 pay periods every month. However, there's 2 months in the year where, again, you get paid 3 times. So since I don't have those numbers calculated in my budget, it gives me a little flexibility. 2, when I get those monies, if I'm behind on my goal or I do want to pay more, I can throw those additional paychecks directly at the debt and my budget will still be on tap. The other thing that I have that may provide an additional boost and allow me to either make my goal or potentially surpass it depending on how things come out with this forbearance. Again, from the tax video, y'all know I was shook. Y'all know I didn't claim any deductions, so I'll probably be getting a tax refund. Those will likely be proceeds that I can use to either put towards my student loan debt. Those will be proceeds I can use to either save or invest. Now, I will tell you, as long as the forbearance is in play, I will actually not be sending any money to the good old folks at FedLoan or FedLoan, whatever the annoying people name are, but I won't be sending any money to FedLoan. So long as the forbearance is in play, I like to keep my money under my control for as long as possible. So if the forbearance is 6 months, 12 months, 4 months, whatever it is, whatever payments that I would have made, I'm just going to kind of stack so I can have that money there. Not necessarily as an emergency. You never know, emergency could come up, but I like to just kind of hold and have control of that money. And what I'll probably do is maybe 3 to 2 weeks prior to the forbearance ending, I'll take a lump sum, put on a student loan, so that way it can directly go towards the principal. So that's kind of my game plan. In short, the quick recap: hey, if the student loan forbearance lasts the entire year, I'm going to be looking at paying off over $40,000 on my student loan. If the student loan forbearance lasts for 6 months, I'm going to be looking at paying about $34,000 on my student loan. If the student loan forbearance lasts any shorter, in that situation, like I said, I'll use those catch-up provisions that I have. I'll use those extra paychecks that I don't account for in my budget, or potentially my tax refund to try to push me over the limit. Because I definitely want to try to hit around 41% of the student loan balance. And that's around $40,000, $41,000. So that's definitely my goal. I appreciate you all tuning in. I'm looking a little tired and crazy on this video because I recorded this video last night. I jacked it up and I tried to edit and do a little voiceover, and it was just completely ridiculous. So I said, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and film this over. So I tried to give you all the fast, short version because I wanted to get through it. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Like, subscribe, and comment. Take care. Peace.